Okay, we're doing it.
Wanted to do something with my life that people thought was impossible before. I personally was shocked to see that maybe because we're only in Arizona, I can buy a tank, and that's okay.
We're talking about Elizabeth Holmes' voice. Hi, I'm Renee, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. In 2002, Elizabeth Holmes was convicted of defrauding investors in her company Theranos to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. But we all know that in every news story, podcast, and video essay about her, everyone focuses on her voice.
Guys, this is the real voice of Elizabeth Holmes.
I think, everyone expects the voice. You have to get the voice right.
And what about the deep voice? Did she have the deep voice when you were dealing with her?
No, I was shocked when I heard her voice.
As a person who has dedicated their life to helping trans people alter their speaking voice to create voices that give them comfort, safety, and gender euphoria, the reporting on Holmes' voice alteration has always made me uncomfortable. Many have taken her voice alteration as proof of her intention to deceive.
Of course, lots of people have idols that they emulate, but a major tip-off that you're dealing with a dangerous personality is that in an attempt to maintain their persona, they will lie about seemingly ridiculous things. One ridiculous lie she told all the time was about her voice. And these people are often very disconnected from the feelings of guilt or shame that would discourage other people from this fraudulent and damaging behavior.
While others say it's merely proof of what women in business have to do to be taken seriously.
Get your fucking ass up and work. Seems like nobody wants to work these days.
In the New York Times piece where Holmes admitted to creating a character voice, Amy Chozick summarizes it best. If you hate Elizabeth Holmes, you probably think her feigned perma-hoarseness was part of an elaborate scheme to defraud investors. If you are a person who is sympathetic to Ms. Holmes, then the James Earl Jones inflection was a sign of the impossible gymnastics that female founders must perform to be taken seriously. It was probably a bit of both, but let me ask you, does it really matter? People change their voice in more minor ways all the time for completely innocuous reasons. I guarantee that you don't talk to your dog the same way you talk to your boss.
Let's take a minute today to review the different Nala Stomp variations.
Huh? Oh my, you really are acting out.
I'm sorry you had to see that.
But let's set the record straight about intentionally altering the speaking voice. This may sound like one of those SAT logic problems, but stay with me. Y'all are smart. Just because A implies B does not mean that B implies A, right? Just because the sky is blue does not mean that all blue things are the sky. So just because Elizabeth Holmes' voice alteration may have been intended to deceive does not mean that all voice alteration is inherently deceitful. Okay, can we agree on this? Elizabeth Holmes went to prison for lying to investors about the functionality of her blood testing machine that seemingly never existed, not for changing her voice.
People just didn't understand what we actually do, which it's illegal in many states because that could be dangerous.
So, if voice alteration can be morally neutral, what are some neutral examples of speaking voice alteration? Well, in the last voice case study that I did, I talked about Paris Hilton and all the reasons that she uses her baby voice. Check out that video if you haven't already seen it. But if you want to talk about a relatively common example of women creating deeper and darker voices, look no further than women newscasters.
Following that all week long as they head to their honeymoon in Mexico. Okay, so obviously we don't sound like that all the time. It's very much our anchor voice. It's easier to speak and easier to announce our words when we lower our voice.
We get trained to talk like this, or is it just natural? The only difference is we're told to really breathe and speak from our diaphragm, which naturally lowers your voice just a bit so you're not speaking from your chest.
And all of that is because we're relaying so much information, who, what, when, where, why. Good evening. Your time now is 5:52. I'm Jeanette Reyes. Thank you so much for joining us on News Talk.
One of my goals is to create a world in which it's safe and normal to change your speaking voice. And I'm not gonna lie, Liz has made that work kind of challenging.
I have to say, I personally was shocked.
I know we all love a villain of the day, but I hope that this video has made you consider the collateral damage that trans people experience when you vilify Holmes for her speaking voice alteration more than, her crimes.
I think I probably spent the equivalent of months just sitting on the floor here.
So that's my case study of Elizabeth Holmes' voice. If you like this and you want to see future case studies, let me know in the comments.